Let's be honest. You are tired. That feeling when the alarm goes off in the morning isn't just lack of sleep. It's something else. A weight sitting on your chest. That damn feeling that no matter how fast you run, the finish line keeps moving further away. We know that voice echoing in your head. I'm working like crazy. I'm doing everything right. But it's still not enough. You are not alone. This isn't depression. This is the reality of the modern world. Millions of people look in the mirror every morning and ask the same thing. Is it my fault? Let's answer that. No, it's not your fault. We were lied to. For years. In school, on the news, in the speeches of those politicians in suits, we always listened to the same fairy tale. Work hard, and you will win. They said technology would save us. Machines would work, and we would get rich. So what is the reality? Look around you. We are in the most productive period in human history. Factories are breaking records. Technology is in the space age. But you work twice as hard as your father, yet own half as much. Think of your grandfather. The man maybe didn't even have a high school diploma. He was a factory worker. But with that single salary, he bought his house, bought his car, and raised 5 kids. Now look at yourself. You have 2 university degrees. You have a supercomputer in your pocket. But when rent day comes, you break into a cold sweat. They used to retire at 50. You are saying, I guess we'll work until we die. What did they tell you? They said, it's your fault. They said, you don't want it enough. They said, if you didn't drink that coffee, you could buy a house. Bullshit. This is the greatest delusion in history. They blame you just so you don't notice the robbery. It's not your laziness. It's not the coffee. It is a single date buried in the depths of history. 1971. Look, as Ageless Finance, we aren't going to tell you fairy tales. We won't give you stock tips. Our business is different. We will show you how the money in your pocket was stolen and how your future was mortgaged away. With proof. With numbers. Back in the 60s, the system was simple. If you produced a lot, you earned a lot. Money was the equivalent of labor. $1 was $1 because it was backed by gold. There was a reality. Today you are 10 times faster than your grandfather. You are smarter, but you live paycheck to paycheck. Engineers, doctors, lawyers, all in the same boat. High earners who can never become rich. Buying a house is no longer a plan, it's a dream. Car prices, grocery tags, they are out of control. There is no one left without debt. We are on an invisible treadmill. We are running, we are sweating, but the scenery stays the same. Production increases, wealth increases, but your share melts away. So where did that money go? While you get poorer, whose pocket did that massive wealth flow into? This is what we call the Great Detachment. In 1971, someone took an invisible knife. They cut that sacred bond between your labor and your earnings. That money didn't evaporate. That money was stolen. It was taken from your pocket and put into the pockets of those closest to the money printer. They call this inflation. They call it cost of living. Lies. The tomato didn't get expensive. The tomato is the same. The only thing that changed is the piece of paper you give to buy. That tomato, that paper has been hollowed out. And those who did this went on television one Sunday evening in 1971, looked right into your eyes and lied. If you are ready, we are going to the crime scene. To August 15th, 1971. To solve the crime of the century. We are rewinding history. August 13th, 1971. Friday. Washington is burning. It's hot, suffocating. But the real fire is behind the closed doors of the White House. On that day, the greatest scheme in modern financial history was set up. President Nixon seemed to be heading to Camp David for a weekend getaway. But he had taken only his most trusted men, that shadowy economic team, with him. This wasn't a vacation. This wasn't a crisis room either. This was a planning meeting for a global robbery. The operation was so secret that the State Department had no idea. World leaders were asleep. Even the president's own speechwriters didn't know what was happening. In that room at Camp David, only one truth was being discussed. America is bankrupt. How are we going to sell this to the world as a victory? Yes, you heard that right. That invincible America was technically broke. Let's explain simply. Back then, the rule was clear. The dollar was gold. America had promised the world. Trust us. Bring the paper dollar. Take the pure gold. This promise was the honor of the economy. But America didn't keep its promise. Throughout the 60s, to fund the Vietnam War, to fund the Great Society projects, they spent money like crazy. They printed money that wasn't in the vault. The system started sounding the alarm. The French were the first to wake up. When they saw America was printing unbacked money, they were the first to jump ship. They sent shiploads of dollars back to America and said, "Give us our gold." Gold was flowing out of Fort Knox like water. America was bleeding. Nixon and his men were cornered that weekend. They had two options. Option 1, be honest. Say, "We made a mistake. We printed too much. We are tightening our belts." This meant a crisis. It meant losing the election. Option 2, flip the table. Change the rules. Legalize the fraud. They didn't even think about it. They chose the second one. August 15th, 1971. Sunday evening. The show Bonanza is on TV. The broadcast was suddenly interrupted. Nixon is on the screen. That fake, tense expression on his face. And he told that historic lie.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold. Look at the key word, temporarily. The biggest lie in history. That temporary decision has been in effect for 50 years. And we are still paying the price for that lie. In those 18 minutes, Nixon told the world, "I am not paying my debt. I am not keeping my promise. There is no gold behind the dollar anymore. There is only my word." In that moment, the soul of money was ripped out. Only a corpse remained. Until that day, we were using money. It had value. After that day, we started using paper, fiat. Understand well what this means. Before 1971, if the state wanted to print money, it had to put gold in the vault. This was a handcuff, a braking mechanism. Politicians couldn't spend as they pleased. Nixon blew up that brake. From that day on, the only thing needed to print money was a button. The gates of heaven opened for politicians. Unlimited debt, unlimited spending, unlimited war. The public didn't understand what happened that evening. Newspapers ran headlines like, "Nixon saves the dollar." The stock markets rallied. Everyone applauded. People were applauding their own warrant of enslavement. Because that day the inflation monster was unleashed. Pandora's box was opened. So who was going to pay the bill for these printed trillions? The answer is simple, you. The Nixon Shock was the state's most insidious way of making the public pay its debt. If the tax office came and took half your money, you would rebel, you would take to the streets. But when the state prints money and reduces the value of your money by 50%, no one understands what happened. The culprit is thought to be the price tag at the grocery store, whereas the culprit is the hand that runs that printing press. From that day on, the world economy turned from a production floor into a massive casino. When the gold window closed, your window of owning assets silently closed as well. But the crime didn't end there. Nixon only broke the door. The real robbery is in the schemes, spinning inside. We will now talk about how the invisible thief puts his hand in your pocket and steals your labor while you sleep. The system isn't giving an error, friends. The system is working exactly as designed, to make you poor and them rich. Don't think the job was finished the day Nixon signed that paper. That crime wasn't just committed 50 years ago and closed. This crime is continuing to be committed right now at this very second, right in your pocket, even while you watch this video. You need to decode the mechanism. If you don't know your enemy, you cannot fight. What do they tell us in school on the news? Inflation is prices going up. The supply chain broke. That's why prices rose. Corporations are greedy. Lies. All of it is nonsense. Inflation is not prices going up. Inflation is your money losing value. Think of it this way, you own a house. Does the house suddenly get shorter on its own? It doesn't. But the government secretly enters your home every night and cuts a piece off the tip of the ruler. You use. The ruler that was 100 centimeters yesterday is 90 centimeters today. The house is the same house. But when you measure it with that broken ruler, you think it has grown. Prices aren't going up, friends. Those green papers in your hand are shrinking. They are melting. So why do they do this? Because the state, especially the American government, needs money. War is expensive. Bureaucracy is expensive. Collecting votes is expensive. The state has two ways to find money. Collecting taxes. This is hard. The public hates it. It loses votes. Printing money. This is easy. No one even hears a whisper. Free money. When that golden handcuff was removed in 1971, politicians chose the second path. This is called the inflation tax. It is the most immoral tax in history. It requires no law. It asks for no permission. It simply reaches into your wallet and steals your purchasing power. While you rejoice saying, I got a 5% raise on my salary, they reduce the value of your money by 10%. In reality, you have become 5% poorer. But wait, the real big robbery isn't here. The real theft is in that demonic mechanism called the Cantillon effect. Most people think that when the state prints money, that money is distributed equally to everyone. I wish that were true, but the system doesn't work like that. When the central bank, Fed, prints that hot money, it doesn't scatter it to the public from a helicopter. It gives that money to its friends first, to big banks, hedge funds, giant corporations. Think of money like honey. If you pour honey onto a table, it clumps up where it is poured. First, those who get the money first, Wall Street, use this money before prices in the market have risen. They go and buy stocks, buy up houses, buy companies. They get rich. As the money slowly flows down towards the public, inflation begins. Who are the ones who get the money last? It's you. Teachers, workers, civil servants. By the time the money enters your pocket as a salary, the game is already over. Prices have skyrocketed. House prices have exploded. The money that comes to you is a husk, its value sucked dry. That is why the rich get richer and you get poorer. This is not economic growth or anything like that. This is the greatest wealth transfer history has ever seen. The purchasing power siphoned from your pocket flows into the vaults of the financial elite. Are you aware of what the system has turned you into? A gambler. In the past, your grandfather would keep his money in the bank. He would save. It was safe. Today, keeping your money in the bank is the same as throwing it into a fire. If inflation is 10% and bank interest is 5%, half of your money is burning every year. After 1971, the system put a gun to your head and said, if you want to protect your money, you have to take risks. Pushed you into the stock market. Pushed you into crypto. Pushed you into derivative markets you don't understand at all. Even a 60-year-old retired aunt has to track the stock market on her phone today. This is not normal. An engineer should build bridges, a doctor should perform surgery. Everyone watching screens like a fund manager isn't development, it's desperation. This is the fight of people on a sinking ship grabbing for life vests. This is called financialization. Production died, speculation became king. Factories closed. Bank branches opened on every corner. And this order has only one fuel, your labor. In 1971, they broke the money, and they broke the morality too. The era of the worker wins ended. The era of the one with money wins began. Do you see the landscape? Your enemy isn't your boss. Certainly isn't the cashier at the grocery store. Your enemy is that broken system itself, stealing your time with the power of an unlimited printing press. Up until now, we've talked about money, about gold, dollars, banks, but the real victim of this crime committed in 1971 isn't your wallet. The real victim is your life. The real victim is your time. The real victim is your family. If you break the money, you don't just break the economy. If you break the money, you break character, you break morality, you shift the foundation stones of society. What we have seen in America over the last 50 years is exactly this social decay. They tell us, you are free. Is that really true? Wake up before the sun rises. Go to a job you hate. Spend your life in traffic. Immediately hand over the money you get at the end of the month to the bank, the landlord, the credit card. And repeat this until you die. Is this freedom? Or is this modern slavery with invisible chains? Look back at the time before 1971, to that old world. Back then, a father could support his family by working alone. This wasn't just an economic detail. This was the power that kept the family together. The mother would take care of the kids, the father would make it home for dinner. Society had a core. What happened next? In 1971, money was broken. Wages melted. The dagger of inflation was stabbed into the heart of the family. The system said, a single salary is no longer enough. Your spouse must work too. They sold this to us as women's liberation. Of course, women working is a great thing, but this should have been a choice, not a necessity for survival. Today, two people work, yet they cannot reach the standard of that single person in the 1970s. Double the labor, half the prosperity. The result? Parents aren't raising the kids anymore. The state is raising them. Nannies are raising them. TikTok algorithms are raising them. The family has shattered. Divorces have exploded. Why? Because financial stress is the #1 killer of marriages. Due to people who come home tired in the evening, thinking about bills, have any patience left for each other. 1971 stole the peace from inside your home. And the system lured you into such a trap, we call it the debt trap. In the past, debt was something to be ashamed of. People were afraid of it. Today, debt is life itself. Want to study? Get into debt. Need a car? Get into debt. Getting married? Get into debt. Did you get sick? Get into debt. A young person starts life at minus $100,000. They have sold their soul to the banks before even receiving their first paycheck. How can this person take risks? How can they say no? How can they start their own business? They can't. A person in debt is an obedient person. A person in debt has to bow down to their boss. It is the system's favorite type of slave. This is the death of the middle class. The middle class doesn't just mean those who earn money. The middle class is the free class. It is the class that owns its own home, has savings, and can stand up to the system. What they have been destroying since 1971 is exactly this spirit of independence. They stripped you of being a citizen and turned you into a mere consumer. Look at the current order, the subscription economy. Have you noticed? You can't own anything anymore. Rent the music, rent the movie, rent the software. And the scariest part, you are renting your home. Remember that famous phrase from the World Economic Forum? You will own nothing, and you will be happy. The process that started in 1971 brought us here. Giant corporations are collecting the houses in your neighborhoods. They want to make you a tenant for life, essentially a serf, a peasant without land, for life. You will work and they will own the assets. The landscape is terrifying, yes, but you have to see this. You cannot get better without admitting you are sick. You know that anger you feel? That anger of why can't I make it? Stop directing that anger at yourself. You are not a failure. You are victims trying to win an honest game at a rigged table. The cheat code of the game was written in 1971. The cards are marked. But every rigged game has an end. This system is not sustainable. It is mathematically impossible. You cannot print unbacked money forever. History shows us the average lifespan of fiat currency systems is 50 years. And we have reached the end of the line. The ship is taking on water. The captains are panicking, stuffing paper money into the holes to stop the leaks, but the ship is sinking faster. So what will you do? Will you sit in your cabin and cry? Or will you run to the lifeboats? There is a way out. It's not easy, but it exists. Now we will talk about this escape plan. We will tell you how to build Noah's Arkansas. You've heard the story. You know the culprit. You've seen the weapon. Now, you have two choices. You can either go on with your life as if nothing happened. You will wake up to that damn alarm every morning, try to pay off those debts with your melting paycheck every month, and pray saying it'll get better. You will continue believing the lies of politicians, hoping the central bank will save you. This is the easy path, but this path ends off a cliff. Or, you will wake up. We won't tell you buy this stock, buy that coin. Our job isn't to give you fish. Our job is to show you that the ocean is poisoned. There is only one rule that will save your life. The golden rule: own what they cannot print. Governments can print money. They print it without limit. But they cannot print gold. They cannot print silver. They cannot print land. They cannot print math. Throughout history, the winners are always the same. Those who own finite assets. The losers are always the same. Those who hold infinite paper money. When your house is on fire, you carry your belongings out, don't you? Right now, your financial house is on fire, my friends. Get your labor, your sweat, and your children's future out of that burning paper house. Move them to safe havens where the flames cannot reach into real assets. In 1971, they made a choice. They sold you out. Today, you too will make a choice. You will either be a victim or the captain of your own ship. We cannot change the system. We cannot shut down the printing press. But we can save ourselves. When the flood was coming, Noah didn't try to stop the rain. He simply built his ark. Build your own ark. Get out of currency, get into assets. Wake up. This is Ageless Finance. We don't just tell history. We remind you of the future.